This portion of the City's Voice is brought to you by Duffy Electrical Company, a third-generation family-owned and operated electrical contracting company serving the North Shore since 1933. Duffy Electrical is a fully licensed and insured contractor who can take care of all of your electrical needs. Whether residential or commercial, a new building, or just a few outlets, Duffy Electrical will provide you with fast, expert service. Whatever the job, big or small, call Duffy. 781-592-1098 or 781-710-5034.
Welcome to the City's Voice. Once again, spring is starting to come. We don't have the snow and cold weather that we've had the last few weeks. Tonight we have a very interesting program, I think, that's very pertinent to everybody, be their grandfathers, aunts, uncles, mothers and fathers, and it's involving suicide of young kids. And to introduce our guests and talk a little bit more about the group that we are hosting tonight, I'm going to let my co-host, Paul Crawley, take over.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the personal opportunity to meet these folks last year in October, I believe it was. They put on a fundraiser every year. It's called Hayley's Hope Foundation, and this group is loosely affiliated with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Yes. And a young girl, Hayley Blowers, committed suicide about 3 years ago, was it?
Yeah, 3 years this coming Friday.
3 years. And her mother, Lorraine, is to my left, and Hayley's aunt, Leslie, and her aunt, Kristen. And there's Uncle Joe over there.
I was reading.
They have been very active in trying to create awareness in the community. They have this fundraiser every year in honor of Hayley's name, and they do a great job of raising the money, but also getting the awareness out there because there are telltale signs that people need to understand and so forth. And I thank you all for coming onto the show. And what I think I'd like to start by, maybe Lorraine, you can tell us a little bit about how you got into this from the event happening, and obviously the grieving that goes on, and how it took that step to get it to where you are today.
All right, well, obviously when Hayley died, it was very traumatic and unexpected. I was not prepared at all. I did not know the signs of suicide. We'd not had one in our family ever, to our knowledge, and it was a shock. At her services, now, Hayley and I were born and raised in Lynn. When she was 9 years old, we moved to Maine, and she developed relationships and friendships up there, so I had to do two of everything. I had the Awaken funeral down here, and I did memorial service up in Maine as well. And one thing I noticed that was consistent between the two events is how much her peers were struggling. I mean, it's hard enough to go to a wake, but to go to that of a teenager, your friend, I gave these teens a lot of credit. And they were struggling as well. They didn't know how to deal with the grief. They didn't know how to deal with their own suicidal thoughts. Teen angst, it comes very commonplace in their thoughts of the world would be better off without me, with many of them. And they figured Hayley had it all together. So if Hayley could do this, I can. How am I going to get through? And so with all those thoughts running through my head, and our father teaching in us community involvement and helping others, and Hayley loved helping other people, and she was always there for her friends. Those things all running through my head, and my faith in God, him telling me, this is what I want you to do. I want you to help others. I want you to use this experience. And she had so many friends. She touched so many people. She had all the friends down here in Lynn, her family here in Lynn, up in Maine, the school she went to. We had a farm, so we went to a lot of fairs. She had friends at all the fairs that we had gone to. We were involved with Soul Fest in New Hampshire. She had friends there. I mean, she had a large community that got impacted by the loss of her, and they're listening. And kids call and get in touch with us through Facebook to find out, how can I get through? How do I help my friend? And you had mentioned in your introduction of the telltale signs. I wasn't aware of those, and neither was anybody else in my family. So we focus on that. And I heard from her friends, I didn't know that this meant this, or I heard her say it, but I didn't think she was serious. At one point or another, we all think the world would be better off without us. Every person has done that in their life. But it's a fleeting thought. It's a small pity party. You think it, and it goes away. It's okay. There's nothing to worry about. But when they have that thought and it takes over their whole day and that's all they're thinking about, that's where they need to worry about it. And kids would hear her say it and think, well, I said it last week when I got grounded. She doesn't mean it. She's just upset and she's just saying it, but she did. So it's trying to learn the difference between what's a fleeting thought and what's real.
Right.
And so when we go into the schools or civic groups or parent groups, we talk about those signs.
Now, Leslie, in talking about these telltale signs, I just I have a young daughter, and I don't want to get into any specifics with her, but just thinking about how a child is looking to get a rise out of you, and slamming the doors and doing the things that a young teenage girl will do and all that kind of stuff. And it always seems to me that the more that they are vocal about acting out, the less likely it is to be an issue. It's when they're not talking about it, no?
Yeah, it's kind of muddy.
May I
There.
interject for 1 second, Leslie, because
Sure.
I want to read something that you wrote, and I
Okay.
think it's important for people to get a profile of the way you saw Hayley. And then you can talk about
Okay. No
Hayley
problem.
was an adorable little girl who was full of life and mischief, who grew up in a beautiful young lady. She had a passion and a talent for making those around her feel better about themselves. She was full of love for those around her. She loved her mom, her friends, her family. She was a typical teen who spent too much time on the computer, stayed up way too late, and spent way too much time straightening her hair. Just when she was getting on your last nerve, she would smile. That smile, and our hearts would just melt. Hayley was Moxie and Mountain Dew monster drinks and Chevy trucks, Hollister and flannel, feminine and quirky. She loved snowball fights, ice cream shopping and sunshine, four-wheeling and sledding, iced coffee and bunnies. What you saw is what you got. There was nothing pretentious about her, and we loved her. And yet something was wrong. There's a disconnect here.
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk about that part.
Oh. Well, we never
Absolutely.
expected any of this. And I mean, no matter who you talk to that this has happened in their lives, that is the first words out of their mouth. We never had a clue. The waters are so muddy, it's that there's no cut and dry. There definitely is no cut and dry. The easiest way that we've learned as we've gone on with this, because we're forever educating ourselves, attending seminars and so on. So the more educated we become, the easiest way for us to explain it to other people, and I wish someone had been there for us, is think of it as building a house. You have a solid foundation of a house. Most times, for somebody that has suicidal tendencies, the foundation of that house is depression or some other form of mental illness. Once you have that firm foundation, because if it's there and it's in place, it's rock solid, then you start building upon it with all of these other things that are going on that, they said this. Does that mean that they're going to do this? They said that. Does that mean they're going to do this? And as Missy Lorraine had indicated, everybody has that fleeting thought, you know, oh, you'd be better off without me, you know, you'll miss me when I'm gone, maybe I should just die, or, you know, any of those myriad of things that we hear time and time again. And especially in the teenage world, you hear it all the time. And oftentimes, it is just to get a rise out of you. And teenagers are just hardwired for that type of behavior. But it's when you start piling it all on top of each other. They've got a history of depression or ADHD or some of these other mental illnesses. Then they have lack of self-esteem built on top of that. Then they've got people giving them a hard time in school, teachers maybe being too hard on them for something that isn't their fault because they're not understanding what's going on in school. Then they've got parents on top of them, and so on. And I mean, there's a bazillion different things that there's no way we can.
We have a caller on the line already that has a question. Holly, good evening.
Hi.
Welcome to.
Good evening. I have a question. I'm very interested to know, because working around children is a good thing for everybody to know. What are the signs? That's the most important key. And by the way, I have to say, I had Mr. Blowers as a teacher, one of the best teachers going. This is nothing I would expect from his family, the most loving guy in the world.
Would you answer
Do you
that?
have, Chris? Do you have the statistics?
Yeah. Do you want to know the warning signs or? Okay. Well,
Kristen, what I want to know, honey, is to educate the parents out here is what are some of the signs they can look for in their teenagers, because a lot of the kids are coming from very poor families, one single-parent families, and a lot of pressure. So I'm just curious, working around kids myself, it's something that's caught my interest.
When Kristen reads these, that they're online too, so if you can't get them all down, go to our website and they'll be there as well. A lot of the signs mirror substance abuse, so it can be a fine line. So knowing the nuances of your child or your friend or your niece or your cousin or your nephew, whoever, that can help you. It's many of these items put together. So Chris, go ahead with.
The reason why I read that, Leslie, is because I wanted people to be clear about, Al, you have daughters, you have a daughter, I have two daughters, I have grandchildren, and this would describe pretty much your daughter, my grandchildren. I want people out there to understand, just because you have this profile doesn't mean that you're immune from the tragedy. That's the point I just wanted to make.
They hide it a lot, so
Yeah.
that's what you're going to look for is the nuances. Go ahead, Chris.
So some of the factors can be maybe they have divorced parents. There could be violence in homes, either with their siblings, not just with their parents, or other family members. An inability to find success at school, rejection of friends or peers, which is really tough for them to climb socially. Lorraine mentioned substance abuse, death, someone close to them, a family member or a friend that may have recently died. But those are some of the things. Some of the most warning signs that you do want to look for could be all of a sudden they change their habits. They may have been on the cheerleading, they may be on the football team, and all of a sudden they lose interest. That was happening with Hayley. She was involved in lacrosse, and she also was interested in becoming a baker and plumbing, and all of a sudden she didn't feel she was worthy of continuing any of those sports or those activities in her life. Change in school work, you could be an A student and all of a sudden your grades drop. Signs of depression, their eating habits, they may start eating more or eating less. Sleeping, they start worrying about or stop worrying about their appearance, and they consider maybe running away. They may even express a thought of suicide. So that is a warning sign. And
Engaging
they,
in risky behavior too. Risky behavior.
yes, risky behavior. I mean, there's a lot to look for. And we're not saying every teen, just because they express this,
Why don't we
doesn't
continue
mean-
this discussion? Well, I
Yeah.
know we have some questions.
So-
We have to take a quick break. We'll come back from the
Yeah.
break, and we'll continue our discussion about warning signs and how people should be looking for them. And so to the break, and then we'll come back and continue this very, very important discussion and topic that's very pertinent to society today. Thank you.
What are you doing in the halls? You're fat, you're ugly, don't be walking this way. Like, get your things.
Welcome back to the City's Voice. A little public service announcement first. Today is the World Autism Awareness Day, celebrated on April 2nd annually and part of Autism Awareness Month. It was adopted by the United Nations in 2007 to shine a bright light on autism as a growing global health crisis. Activities on this day increase and develop world knowledge of autism crisis and impart information regarding the importance of early diagnosis and early intervention. Autism Speaks, the world's leading autism science and advocacy organization, celebrates Light It Up Blue today, during which many iconic landmarks, hotels, stores, and communities in more light blue. I have a blue shirt on. Today in Lynn, the blue lights at major intersections were on in honor of Autism Awareness. I happened to see those blue lights today, and I said, gee, something must be wrong, and they're fixing them, because normally the blue lights are on because there's a snow warning, and there certainly was no snow. So, yeah, I became aware now all of a sudden, I know those blue lights were on, and it was because of autism. But also tonight, we're on another very important topic, and I do want to read the mission of it before we turn this back over to Leslie and our talk. And this is about Hayley's Hope. The mission of Hayley's Hope Foundation is to create an awareness of the issues of teenage suicide and its warning signs, triggers, and its impact on the family and the community. This will be accomplished through education and provisions of resources for professional help to parents, guardians, educators, peers, and most importantly, those currently in distress. And tonight, we're very fortunate to have the people who founded Hayley's Hope and have a very, very close relationship to it and have gone through this terrible experience. So we'll turn this back to Paul and Leslie.
Yeah, actually, Lorraine,
Lorraine.
who was Hayley's mom, we have a new guest, and Lorraine's going to introduce her.
This is Hayley's sister, Kelsey, and she is one of our board members, and that's why we invited her here tonight as well, as being a board member, being a sister who lost, and also because of her education, her college education, and what she does for her career. Very helpful for us and for who we help. So if you could explain a little about what you do.
I work as a residential counselor at a residential group home for adolescents. Most of our youth have social and emotional needs, but we do get a lot of kids who have attempted suicide and are currently having suicidal thoughts. And a lot of the work that I do with them just is teaching them new coping skills and listening to them and validating their emotions and kind of teaching them how to cope with stress, because that's a lot of the reasons why kids commit suicide.
And that's why we have her expertise to help us, to help others, and that's our
What
big goal.
can a parent do if they are concerned all of a sudden, or we talk about the fact that I think we've all had kids say at one point, "Oh, I'd rather be dead than alive." What should be the normal reaction? Don't talk like that, or why do you say that? How should a parent or another adult respond to that?
You take everything seriously,
Yeah.
no matter what. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a drama, or they're just faking it. Well, no, they're obviously crying out for help. Just like if you fall and hurt yourself, you cry. Well, this is also a cry, and you take that seriously as well. Some of the things that parents can do or a guardian can do for their child is send them into counseling, go either individually or as a group, or one of the other possibilities would be residential facility and have them in there depending on the severity of their condition or where they're at in their point of life. And medication. Now that's not always an option because a lot of medications can be very tricky and may also bring on suicidal tendencies. So that would be actually a last resort.
I guess one key word is listening. Sometimes very important. I think a lot of adults don't listen.
They don't listen in the teenage voice. It's different. And unfortunately, I found that out too late. Hayley said to me on several occasions, "Mommy, you don't understand." And I say, well, say it to make me understand. I want to understand. I want to help you. And after she passed, I understand what these teens are saying a lot more. And you working with them all the time, you probably hear it's different than when you're talking with your adult friends versus talking with the teens that you help. It's very different. So it isn't just listening, it's really hearing and remembering way back then. Whatever's happening to them at that moment, no matter how minuscule it seems to us because of other problems we have going on in our lives, it's their world right then.
Yeah.
It's enveloping them.
We have another caller on the line. Diane, do you have a question for our guests? Good evening.
Yes, I do. I would want to know how often, statistically, do teens commit suicide annually? It often... how many per year? I mean, you hear like autism is like, 112 per hour, but like how many suicides per day? How many in the age groups?
Is completed and that's internationally.
That's international.
That is an international statistic.
In the
I
US.
don't believe they have it broken out for teens as to how many minutes away, but I believe it's every 3 days.
Every 100
England.
minutes.
A teen in the United States.
Yeah, and it's roughly 4,600 youths in the U.S. between 10 to 24 annually.
And in New
that's-
England, it's
and-
every 3 days.
Yeah.
I want to get on the
And-
topic. When we took a break, I was interested in whether there's a specific age in which it becomes a sign that that's greater potential for suicide, and I think you dispelled that during the break.
Yeah, well, there's certain percentages that the Center for Disease Control puts out, and they're currently behind a few years. So as of 2010, there was 19% of high school students have seriously considered killing themselves.
That's 15 to 19, roughly, right?
That is an age group of 15 to 24.
15 to 24?
Yeah.
19%?
Yep, yeah.
And there would be 81% would be younger? Or is that 19% of the total suicides?
Total suicides.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in 15 to 24 bracket, that's actually the third leading cause of death among that age bracket.
So pre-15 appears to be fairly safe?
No.
10 to 14 is the fourth leading cause of death.
I got you.
And that is between accidents, whether it be a poisoning or a car accident or some type of illness.
Now, you mentioned to me during the break that a lot of it is undiagnosed mental illness.
Yes.
Would you explain that, please?
A lot of people don't realize that they themselves or their children have a mental illness. There's a stigma with it. People don't want to think that it's happening, and they don't get it taken care of. They don't bring the attention to the child's doctors or bring them to therapists. And even when it is diagnosed, as Kristen said, it's tricky. It's hard to pinpoint which medication, if a medication, which way to best help. And so undiagnosed, untreated kind of go hand in hand with this. And I wouldn't know if undiagnosed is more prevalent than untreated. I don't know that fact. And
In
I thought
Hayley's
we were going with
in Hayley's case, did you notice any of those factors?
a lot of it in hindsight now, but she had been in counseling. She had been diagnosed with anger and anxiety issues, which are precursors to depression.
I got you.
And I didn't know that. Her therapist didn't enlighten me to any of that. But again, suicide, even though Hayley said many times she was going to kill herself, I thought she was just saying it to, as you had said,
Right.
to get a rise out of me. And I reacted that way. It's like, Hayley, if you're serious, I need to bring you to the hospital. If you're not serious, you don't joke about that. That's not a topic to be funny with. And she, as soon as I said hospital, she said, nope, 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 it's not. I'm just kidding. So I didn't know what to think. And then, of course, I saw her exhibiting all the signs, or not all, but many of the signs, leaving her favorite things of track, lacrosse, the pastry chef dream, and saw her sleeping habits changing, her eating habits changing, her type of friends, risky behaviors, etc. Cutting. She was actually a cutter, which is a lot of times teens especially will try cutting as a way to cope with their anxiety rather than
Now,
other ways.
We talk about in the mission statement, education. We're doing that tonight on the program, but are you interacting with any of the schools on the North Shore, and how do we go about that, public or private? How can they get involved, or how can you help them make other kids aware that their friends may need help? And I guess
Right.
that's the first place they're going to go. They're not going to go to an adult. They're going to go to their
Yes.
peer. So
Yes.
how do we do that? Or how do you do that? How do you accomplish it?
We've been able to speak at Pickering Junior High and Breed Junior High School so far. We have a wonderful letter of recommendation and support from Dr. Latham, as well as one of the guidance counselors and the principal at Pickering. And we're slowly making progress getting into schools. It's very difficult to get into schools. I know between timing of when can somebody come in, the subject, it's still kind of a taboo subject. A lot of people are afraid to bring it up, thinking if we tell people about it, it's going to happen. They're already thinking about it. They,
It's a
it's- they already know about this, and they're thinking about it. And unfortunately, there were issues going on at one of the schools that they were like, we want you to come in and we want you to tell them what's happening. And so these kids can see the signs and other people to help them. And the kids thanked us after. They were very thankful that we were there to teach them.
We're going to go to our break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to continue our discussion a little bit more about peer-to-peer, how the peers can help each other out, child to child, or teenager to teenager, more apt to listen to their friends than their mother or father or a teacher. So to our break, and then we'll come back and continue this great discussion.
Asked me for my money, so I said no. And all my friends went home because they raced together. He might punch them too.
I was screaming, but he just wouldn't stop.
He always said he would hit me. I just didn't think he actually would. I don't know what I did, but they just kept on kicking me.
They tied me up and dragged me outside. They stripped me of my dignity.
She said she was going to teach me a lesson. He said I wasn't listening. I didn't think he'd get so mad.
Welcome back to the City's Voice. Tonight we're talking about teenage suicide, and a taboo subject many times, and we don't want it to be taboo. We want it to be brought out in the open. Just before we went to break, we were starting a conversation that was going to involve Kelsey a little bit more, who was Hayley's sister, and we were talking about the fact that it's sometimes better to have a teenager talking to a teenager or a peer to a peer versus an adult. They might listen, or they might open up a little bit more. And we have also brought in another guest, Ann, I believe? Jeannie, who was also got a little more that she can add in this particular thought process. So Kelsey, why don't we go to you and tell us what you think.
Well, I think it's really important for peers to be positive supports for other peers, and it's really also important for them to involve an adult. And I think that's a lot of the work that I do specifically, and Hayley's Hope Foundation does as well, is just educating people on what the warning signs are and what we can do to help and offer services.
Do you think, if it's not getting too personal, if a guidance counselor, say, had been better prepared or trained, and Hayley had said something, if a guidance, you mentioned maybe talking to an adult, a guidance counselor might have been able to say, Hayley, come in and let's just talk, tell me what your problems are, that the student or the child might be more apt to talk to the adult that's not a parent?
At times, yeah.
We were all teenagers at one time.
This is, a very difficult topic for me, and I applaud you all for being able to speak about it. The courage you have is unbelievable. One of the things I don't understand is, how do you measure success? How do you,
That we're still in existence. This would probably be a good example of success. I got my nails done today. I know, big treat. And while I was sitting there, the woman sitting next to me had happened to say something, and I talked about I was going to be doing this tonight. And I didn't mention any names at all. And she said, "Oh, the Blowers family." And she knew who we were. And she had no other affiliation other than what she's seen on Facebook.
Right.
So that means we're getting out there.
Right.
And that means it's getting heard. And then the other measure of success is the kids that have called us, they're still here. They've found help, or they were able to help somebody else.
I'd be
So-
interested to know whether the rate of suicide among teens is going up, or remains stable, or it's going down. Any
The only
statistics?
statistic I know on that is in the state of Maine, where I recently lived, and it's going down, and that's because of their efforts for education. So education and awareness is critical.
Drives it down.
Yes.
Which is what Hayley's hope is to do, is to drive down.
We're like a middleman, and we're a
Interesting.
concerned ear. Hayley's friends, and actually strangers who heard about us through Facebook or a friend of a friend of a friend, felt comfortable calling me or texting me, IMing me, because they were comfortable. They could tell that I was non-judgmental. So we're confidential. We'll listen. We'll try and get them through that hump. A
So
high
they could call you.
statistic
So
of-
someone that's in crisis, right, could give you a call.
Yes, and we'll talk, and we'll
What's
listen,
that
and if
number?
it's,
Do we have a number on that crisis call?
I had seen it on well, we're not a crisis
It's on the
center.
screen right now.
I understand that,
Okay.
but
It is on the TV screen.
But you're willing to talk to people. You've been
Yes.
through the experience.
Yes.
So you
I'll
know
talk-
more than, I shouldn't say
I'll
more,
talk
but
to
you have more
parents,
empathy.
friends
Yeah.
of those in distress. I'll talk to those in distress. And because we focus mostly on teens, a very high statistic of teen suicides are impulse acts. Less than 1 hour was given to the thought. And 95% of those, it's 5 minutes. Goodness, didn't expect that to happen. But it's
All
less
right,
than
can we
5
get
minutes
Jean
given.
involved here? Jean, you've
Right.
got a
Well,
specific
yeah.
message that you
Well,
want to give.
I
can
volunteer
help.
with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and just what we're talking about here, the peer-to-peer, and the fact that so many people are reaching out to Hayley's Hope. The one common denominator here is the people that are in the club want to speak to people who are in the club. They don't want to talk to the person who doesn't know about it. They want to talk to the person that when they look them in the face and say, "I know," they know that they know. Because if you haven't been there, you're only listening.
Yeah.
Like she said, it was teen speak before. Now for her, it's as fluent as English. You want to speak to the person who really knows, who's lived it, who's been there.
What about gender? Is suicide, is there a differential between boys and girls? We spoke about Hayley, and we have an all-girl panel here, except us guys. But I'm talking about young men calling in. I mean, I'm sure they're committing suicide too. Is there any?
I've not spoken to any teen boys in crisis, but I've spoken to friends or relatives of teen boys in crisis, asking, what do I do? How do I handle this?
Are there different signs for gender signs? Kelsey, is it?
Not necessarily.
Is there a differential between the way boys approach it and?
I'm not sure about statistically, but in my experience,
Yeah.
A lot of the times with the males, it's more anger focused and aggressive, and it's a lot faster too. They're
Yeah, they're
much
pretty
more
more effective at
impulsive,
it, as a matter of fact, I
where
understand,
the
right?
females will think a little bit more.
A question that came to mind when Kristen was pointing out some of the signs that are out there, and she said that there's sometimes substance you can mistake. I think
I
substance
said it.
abuse.
Yeah, they mirror. A lot of the signs mirror.
Okay, mirror. Okay.
Yeah, because substance abuse, you see a change in their behavior and their likes. You see a change in their behavior. I mean, their friend choice. You see a change in their eating habits, their sleeping habit. Those all mirror each other.
And in some respects, going down the path of substance abuse is
A sign in
slow
itself.
form
Yes.
of suicide, isn't it?
Yes.
In some respects.
Yeah, if they overdose.
Smoking
or-
cigarettes like I do is also.
No, but I mean, it's
Yes, it is.
it's dealing. It's how you've dealt with it, and in a destructive kind of way, and like the risky
Covert
behavior,
suicide,
right?
yeah.
So if somebody, if you identify somebody and they exhibiting these changes that mirror substance abuse, what do you do? Do you address it differently if it's substance abuse versus
Yes.
if it's suicide?
In Hayley's case, her stepfather and I had thought he thought more so than me that she was abusing drugs. And I just didn't have that gut feeling. I agreed with him on her behaviors, and he was like, how can you not agree then? I was like, because I don't have the gut feeling. And I just didn't know it was the same signs as suicide. But it'd be just like a cough, having a cough. You can have a cough from a chest cold, or you can have it from a postnasal drip. 2 different medications. So if you're treating your chest cold cough with a postnasal drip medicine, it's not going to stop the cough.
Right.
Same thing, if you're trying to help your child or friend or whoever with issues of substance abuse, and they're actually suffering from suicidal ideation, that can also have them think, see, I'm not important. They're not even noticing what's really wrong. They're not helping me. They don't care. And that just keeps building on itself, and that self-worth.
Well,
tear
that
them
makes a
apart.
lot of sense. Isn't there, some underlying similarities in the reasons why somebody is going to self-medicate or have suicidal thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot of overlapping.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Do you ever watch the
they're
ads
all
on
individual.
TV for various medications? Every single one of them comes up with, oh, by the way, you may have suicidal thoughts. If you have suicidal thoughts, please stop taking and consult your doctor. I don't care whether it's for arthritis or whether it's for bronchitis or whatever. They always have this suicide clause. You may have a higher. So perhaps when you're taking what you're talking about, these substances in your body, it upsets your chemistry and fogs up your mind. Your
Well,
ability to make
we all know drugs or non-prescribed drugs can muddle your mind.
Right.
So is that what you were addressing, meaning those
I'm
drugs? or do you
referring
mean
to
pres-
there's always a caveat with these drugs that you suicidal tendencies,
That's
thoughts.
an
Well, some-
anti-litigation statement.
Well, that's
so-
part
That's
of
true,
it.
but
there
it
is
could
some-
cause it.
There is some truth to that as well. 2 different thoughts on that. When I got prescribed, I believe it was Allegra. No, not Allegra. It was an asthma medicine. I can't remember the name right now. But it was widely used for years and years and years and years. And there was a percentage of suicides of people who had asthma. And because those people were taking this medication, they had said, well, if you take this, it causes suicidal tendencies. It's like, no, it's just a coincidence. That's one thought. The other thought is some of these medications, such as Prozac. Hayley was prescribed Prozac, even though I protested it, because she had had suicidal thoughts, and that promoted suicidal thoughts. The doctor explained it to me as, it isn't that it promotes the suicidal thoughts, it gives them the energy to complete what they're thinking. Because
Gotcha.
when they weren't taking that medication, they didn't have the focus or the energy to do things, to just even regular things, to get up and eat or make the bed or put on a pair of socks. They didn't have the energy to do that. Now that they're having this medication, it changes that, and they're able to do that. So those are 2 of the other reasons why they do that, along with the anti-litigation to cover themselves.
What about the use of Ritalin and drugs like that they do on ADD,
ADHD.
kids or whatever? Is there any correlation
I
between?
don't
Does
know
anybody
anything to
have
answer
done
that.
any
I
work
don't
on
know,
that?
Kelsey, do you have experience with that?
I mean, I have kids who are using those medications, but
Well, you mentioned Prozac, right? Isn't that isn't that to bring you down a little bit? You know.
that's an antidepressant.
All right. So the point being is they so heavily medicate so many kids today in school, particularly boys, I wonder if they've done any studies as to whether any of that has been a contributing factor
Let's
to
continue
suicide
that
rates.
thought after our break about medication with boys in school and what can happen. We'll go to a quick 30-second break, and we'll be right back to continue our discussion about teen suicide.
What are you doing in the halls? You're fat, you're ugly, don't be walking this way. Get your things.
This portion of the City's Voice is brought to you by Duffy Electrical Company, a third-generation family-owned and operated electrical contracting company serving the North Shore since 1933. Duffy Electrical is a fully licensed and insured contractor who can take care of all of your electrical needs. Whether residential or commercial, a new building, or just a few outlets, Duffy Electrical will provide you with fast, expert service. Whatever the job, big or small, call Duffy. 781-592-1098 or 781-710-5034.
Welcome back to the City's Voice. During our break, you saw a little promo about bullying. And I think we'll get into that a little bit too, about how bullying perhaps is a cause of teenage suicide, or how it could lead to teenage suicide, along with our discussion just before the break about how certain medicines could increase the tendency to having a teenager commit suicide. And perhaps we can also throw in at the same time medical reasons, like people that have constant headaches, young kids, things like that, that people may say, oh, they've got migraines, but they don't realize that a migraine could be so bad that it could perhaps raise thoughts of suicide.
Actually, George Clooney had said that he had injured his back, and when he was laying in the hospital in such pain, he said he thought about ending his own life. So very true, and it doesn't affect just poor families or minority families or broken home families. He's rich and famous.
Yeah. We have your two sisters back. They're waiting to say something. They've been awful quiet for the last two segments. And during the show, maybe you can talk about the bracelets that you brought.
That I have on, by the way.
Okay.
Yes,
I
good,
want you to
thank
know
you.
it in there.
Yes, yes.
So, Leslie, you want to talk about the bracelets?
Oh, well.
Oh, actually, we have a caller on the line. Can we?
Absolutely.
All right, why don't we go to Laura on the line first. Laura, good evening, and then we'll talk a little bit more. You're on, Laura.
Good evening. How are you this evening?
Good.
Good.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, I do have a question going back to the medication and having warning signs about thoughts of the suicide. I was kind of wondering if you were asking someone if they considering suicide. Does that actually plant the idea in their mind?
Already been thinking about it, and asking them is actually one of the first things when you go to any type of training, how to talk with people who are feeling suicidal. That's one of the first things. Ask them directly. It doesn't hurt to do that. It will help, and watch their reaction,
And most
because
will
you know that
actually.
person best.
And if they are at that point, they will come forth and they will say, actually, I'm having some issues. And it's actually a good breaking point for them to start talking to you.
80% of all suicides could be prevented between asking them, knowing the signs, getting proper treatment.
I love that. 80%.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrific rate.
So 4 out of every 5 suicides.
That's a great.
Yeah.
By the way, where do we get these golf jerseys? I mean, I think they're absolutely gorgeous.
I don't even have one. They
I
can't
want
find one small enough to fit me. So
Can we go online and order them up or what?
I'll get you one.
We do
I'll
have
get you
on our website.
Yeah.
Seriously?
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have t-shirts.
Hayley'sHope.com.org,
Haley's Hope
Foundation.org.
and we can order up
T-shirts, yeah.
Oh,
T-shirts
love
and
it.
And the
bracelets.
wristbands.
And everything?
Yes.
And we
And
have
ribbons.
ribbons.
and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
funding goes toward more research, more outreach.
Yeah,
It goes
it
for our
help-
outreach efforts.
Yeah, outreach efforts, educational opportunities for us, because we want to get better at what we do. You know, if we are presenting ourselves out there to help others, we need to be as educated as possible. And actually, I do want to emphasize, we are not professional counselors, we are interventionists. And there's a huge difference between the terminology. We're like a stepping stone, and sort of like breaking the ice. We're not analyzing people right out of the gate as if they had just gone to a professional
You're not
counselor
going
to
to tell
begin
someone,
with.
hey, you're
They're
crazy,
not going
you
to
need
clam up.
help.
Exactly.
By teaching a group, you're hoping the person within the group is also
Exactly.
going to wake up and say, you know, maybe I should go to someone that can help me.
Right. You know, it's funny because in the very beginning, when we started this whole process, in less than a year after doing this, we were given a very prestigious award from the NAMI Association of Maine. Every state has a NAMI association, the National Alliance of
Mental
Illness. Yes, it's a tongue twister. And we received one of their top honors. And as we were there to receive it, we were very humbled and confused why us, because there were medical personnel there. There were professional counselors. There were EMTs. There were any persuasion of professionalism there. And then there was us, a family that lost somebody that they loved. And we weren't the only one to receive that award. There were a few others. And as we were there at the luncheon, people kept on saying, oh, we've been waiting to meet you. We want to talk to you. We've been waiting to meet you. Tell us about yourselves. And we're like, why us? We want to talk to you. And they said, because you've experienced it. We're all textbook learners or in the field learners, but you've experienced it.
That's
and
an
you see
interventionist.
it. Exactly. You know, and you've seen it in a whole different way. You understand what's going on. You have the raw emotion, and people are willing to talk to you.
Joe is on the line. Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, what are some of the common myths about suicide?
You're good at that.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
That
Yes,
only
it is.
depressed people die by suicide. Only we always think the stereotypical goth type person, always dressed in black, the dark makeup. That's actually only 5% of completed suicides is that persona.
The Gothic look is a safe look then, huh?
Yes, it is. You're 95% because you're free to express
They
yourself.
express themselves.
What are some of the other myths? Of course, I can't think of them. Chris,
Well,
can you
Leslie's
help me?
point of your description of your niece spoke to that. I mean, you read, and that's what I was trying to point out. Here is a very happy, loving child, and
That it's a selfish act. That's another myth. the connotation of the way selfish is taken today is not how it's meant. It is an inner selfish act, but it's not an outwardly selfish act to die by suicide. That's one of the myths, that it's all about them. They don't know how to deal with their pain. They want the pain to end. They don't necessarily want to die. They just want the pain to stop, whether it's a physical pain or an emotional pain, whatever that is.
Right.
Chris, can you add any other myths to that?
No,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the basics.
somebody's inner resilience too has a huge part to play in it. An overachiever who seems to have it all together, you know, straight A's on the road to Yale, you know, and you think this person is just going to have the, you know, the golden road laid out for them. They get an A- on a test.
Right. It's
Now,
become such a perfectionist that
Exactly. They can't deal with
right, not being
anything
perfect.
less than top performance. And that could lead them to a path of self-destruction. Whereas some of these, some other people could have everything against them, come from a broken home, they're living on the streets, you know, this has happened to them, they've got no money. And it sounds hard, and it's not meant to sound as hard as it's going to sound, but you wouldn't blame them if they took that route out. And yet there's some inner resilience in them that keeps them going. And, you know, so there's just no way of telling.
You remember Piggy Lee, the singer?
Yes.
Her great song
Yes, I
was,
do.
is that all there is?
We only have 2 minutes left in the program.
So we got to talk about these.
We want to talk about the bracelets. Speed talk. You have the
My
show.
daughter just texted me, she wants a pink one. So we
Okay,
need to
well,
know how
pink or
much they
a
are.
commodity?
Well,
On
they
our
will have-
website.
Yep.
And then at our fundraisers, we have them when we visit
They'll have them
schools.
here.
They'll have them here, we were
We'll
just
have
asked.
some here.
And how much?
$3 each or 2 for $5.
$3 a piece, 2
Okay.
for 5.
Best bargain
I'll
in
take
town.
100.
And actually, a friend of mine, Amy, is the one that originally got us started on them. And they say, remembering Hayley.
Yeah, I don't know
So-
if they can get a close-up on my
and-
wrist.
I'd like you to read what your sister
But
said at
this
the
is
funeral.
one of the original ones
I
when
think
Hayley
that
died
sums it
3
all
years
up.
ago that I do not take off, and that's how much it's faded. And this, one of her other friends, it says, Hayley, you will be missed. Which,
So-
every time I look
And
at
I
it, I
have
get
such a
tears in
good
my
story
eyes,
about
and it's
him, too.
hot, hot pink.
So
This
we're
is
gonna-
what she read,
yes.
your sister read it at your,
Yeah, Lorraine said
and this sums
this
it all up.
at the funeral. Let your hope keep you joyful. Be patient in your troubles, and pray at all times. Share your belongings with your needy fellow Christians, and open your homes to strangers. And that is in Romans, in our wonderful Bible.
There's a
but
beautiful
we-
picture of Hayley on the TV screen now.
not now.
Now you're looking at their aunts and
Yeah,
mothers.
there's-
There's Hayley there. Think of a beautiful person, and a beautiful person can have a problem. Just don't ignore their calls for help.
Now,
Take everything
there's so much to
serious.
cover. As you can see, we're bouncing all over the place, but never able to address any one particular thing. And I know when we were talking about fundraisers, the other item we raise money for, not only our operational expenses, we do scholarships for the high schools that Hayley attended. And we have a fundraiser coming up this Saturday night at the Brickyard. And then we'll have another one in June. But keeping up on our website, becoming Facebook friends with us,
Yes.
will
So-
help keep you
Yeah.
abreast of everything
So come
that's
down
happening.
to the Brickyard this Saturday from 4 to 8 here in Lynn, and you can speak with us personally. Me and Missy will be there. Unfortunately, not all of us will be there.
When you say the Brickyard,
but-
we want to tell people the name
Yes.
of the street. So that
Yes,
everybody,
163
The 50 Club.
Blossom
The
Street,
50
the
Club.
old 50 Club, many of you know. And come on down, it's from 4 to 8.
we have to go now, and we want to thank the Blowers family for being with us tonight and
Thank you.
Thank you for
everything
having us.
that they are doing to make a better life for people in the future, especially teenagers.
It's
Thank
hopeful.
you.
This is my song, dirty